used to call me Crazy Joe, but now they can call me Batman.
What up? Welcome back once again to the Necro Zoo. I am Boom. And in this one, let's go ahead and add one more figure to my McFarlane DC Multiverse collection. Now, today we will take a look at a brand new gold label Wally West Flash figure. Now, I did pick this up at Walmart for $19.98. So, although we have seen some different prices coming from McFarlane, we can still find some pretty plentiful figures at our $20 price point, which is always appreciated. Now, more recently, the gold labels from McFarlane that are Walmart exclusives have not really been that hard to pick up. So, I did pick up two of these, one to open and review, and one to keep mint in box in my mint in box collection. Now, this version of Wally West is credited as the Dawn of DC version. We all know that that doesn't necessarily mean anything to McFarlane. He is definitely all over the place with source material and the designs of these figures. And though that can sometimes get rather tiring, I still really enjoy this line. Now, he does look pretty fast in the packaging, but let's go ahead and take a closer look at him. But first, he does come with your standard black DC Multiverse stand. Now, of course, these are not really needed, but sometimes they do come in useful. He also comes with his data file card. On the front, you have a rather interesting card art. You do have a stylized version of the Flash. Now, while I am not too familiar with where this image comes from, it does look pretty cool. In its very cartoonic design, it looks pretty sweet. You have him there in an awesome running pose. And on the back, you do have some information. We'll hold on to this. Now, once again, although in the card art, and by now McFarlane definitely has enough hand molds to go around, he did not give us any alternate hands. You have the basic hands that came with the original release of this body, which was the Rebirth Barry Allen, which is just an open running hand and a right-handed fist. Now, though I can, go into my fodder or switch out hands from other Flash figures, I really wish McFarlane would have added at least two fists and two running hands. But you do get some energy effects. You get two smaller versions of the sort of crackling Speed Force effect, and you get two longer versions. While you can use these on this figure, especially for taking figure photography and things like that, he does still have the portholes for the old energy effects, which we do have here. Now, a lot of people complained about this, that they should have covered the holes. And while I actually think that would be more ideal, if you do have the old effects that came with the Rebirth Flash, they do work with this Flash, and you can make them look pretty awesome. So it's not a big deal. I do have all of these energy effects saved up from all of the previous figures I have acquired from McFarlane. And I do think plugging up those holes would have taken some mold work, which I guess McFarlane didn't really feel like doing. And on the only positive I could think, if you do have those older effects, you can use them on this figure. Now let's go ahead and take a closer look at them. Now, this is a big reason why I always tell everybody, get the figure in hand, or watch a good review of the figure. If you're not, if you're on the fence, if you want to purchase it, the reason being because nothing beats having the figure in hand and moving them around and getting a closer, detailed look at him. Because one thing I did hear was a lot of negativity about this figure, and mainly the face sculpt, the smile that McFarlane gave him. And while I remember Wally West being more of like a jokester and always smiling, Definitely more than Barry Allen. I don't understand why people, think this smile is too exaggerated. They were comparing it to like Jokerized versions of smiles and stuff like that. And now that I have it in hand, I really do not see it. I mean, maybe it could look a little bit disturbed, but I don't get that feeling from it, which if I did, I would right now actually cue up the spooky music. But since I don't get that feeling from him, it just, you know, I don't understand why people were trying to insinuate that the smile was done really bad. It's not bad at all. It looks good. It's not a full grinning smile. But aside from that, they did have a problem with the reuse. A lot of people wanted just the flashpoint flash done in a gold color with the whited out eyes. And trust me when I tell you that that is another version that we may get. Now, for me, this flash is going to go really well with a JLA setup. And since we recently got the whole wave, you can go ahead and add your Hook Hand Aquaman, your Kyle Rayner, and you can throw your Wally West Flash in the lineup, which I'm going to do later on and do some figure photography. So that's going to be pretty fun, which is definitely what this line should be: some fun, some customizing work, and enjoying displaying the figures. Now, some people have a problem with this body buck. They think the shoulders are too, wide, but this is a really lean buck. And as being someone that prefers the Rebirth Flash to the Flashpoint Flash, I mean, I could take either one. I'll display each one in different teams and different displays and use them where they fit better. I really like this body. This has always been one of my favorite aesthetically pleasing running style bodies where you don't have so bulky of legs or so bulky of arms. They're a little bit leaned out and it really fits well with speedsters. We've seen this before, even with an alternate version of Wally West was one of my favorite versions. Let's take a closer look at that problematic grin, a little bit closer look at it, and it does not look bad at all. Now, I could see heating this up and actually pushing the lips, a little bit closer together, and it'll look even better. So I may end up doing that. But what I really like about this is the red color that they picked for this suit. You can really see it in the head sculpt that it's just an awesome red version for the Scarlet Speedsters. Now, the gold really accentuates the red. It really pops off because you got that sea of red and then those little edges of gold, like the wingtips on the head. Now, another thing I like is the black around the eyes because that is the way he is usually represented in the comics. So, a big fan of the whited out eyes, the gold, the red, all making an awesome head sculpt. You got a little bit of shading in the skin tones, which is always appreciated. Just an awesome head sculpt. Although I do think you could mod it just a tiny bit to get to, to tone down the grin a little. I do think that is a preference. It's, the way it came out of the package is perfectly fine. Now he can look down really well and look up even better, and that is great for running poses. You got right to left, and of course you could tilt his head for some character, and that's a main characteristic that I always remember about Wally West is he's more of a jokester and a sort of a free spirit, version of Flash. So this figure really captures that emotion, really enjoying it. Now, we won't go too much into the articulation because we've seen this before, but you do have really smooth waist swivel and articulation, rocking, tilting. He has a really nice crunch, which is a far cry from the original release, which was pretty stiff. He's, made out of a little bit more softer plastic, and you can really crunch him forward, which is going to help a lot in running poses. You got the same shoulder. socket and bushing joint, smooth articulation. Now, although I like this running hand, I would really prefer two fists. So we'll look at that later on. Or two running hands would be really nice. But well, I'll work with what McFarlane gave us. Now going down to the lower body, you got some slender thighs. I've seen a lot of people doing a lot of thigh cutting on the McFarlane figures, and they think it looks really good or it really helps in their articulation. But I have to say that as soon as you cut that thigh and you start articulating it, it looks really bad. You just mess up that clean muscle sculpture. And even worse, they do have thigh swivel. Now, this can be really alleviated if you pop out the plug of the thigh and loosen it up, which will give you a lot freer of movement. But he does have enough thigh swivel to move his boot from side to side, which means that if you want to turn his leg, it's really simple. You do not have to add thigh cuts to these figures. So really nice leg articulation, really smooth, great for running poses. I mean, just look at that. He's just made to be, photographed in running poses. Awesome. Take a look at him from the bottom. Slight tread and slight identifying marks. Moving up the back. This buck has a pretty sweet flash booty. And then you move into that muscular, sort of leaner back that I really enjoy. So all in all, this is a great figure. Really happy with him. Can't wait to add him to my JLA setup. Do some photography. It's going to be pretty awesome. Now, as far as comparisons go, there's so many that we could do, but I will go ahead and bring out the original version of Barry Allen Flash that uses this exact same buck. And it is a more drearier red. It's not as bright and popping as this one is. And of course, it has a really almost sunshine yellow accent to the costume. Now, the only other slight differences is like in the emblem. This one has a little bit more design around the Flash logo. And although this is my custom one because I did add the alternate fist, I also added some wingtips to the boots, which, just consisted of me covering up the portholes for some of the flash effects that didn't really bother me to do. And I just wanted to separate him because I do have a standard version that has absolutely no differences. So I wanted to, spice them up a little bit, and I added a little bit of wingtips to the boots. Now, another figure that uses this body is Throng Reverse Flash. So if you look at these guys together, they just work so well together. That body type is really made for a running character. And I am a big fan of the Reverse Flash character. He just looks so sinister and evil. And there is other speedsters that have used this body. Now, a lot of people like to, say that this one, the Flashpoint Flash Barry Allen, is a superior figure, but I wouldn't say that. I would just say that this one has its pros because it's a more classic look, doesn't have so much suit design. Really nice figure. I'm not going to say it's not, but this body book and these Flash figures also have their own attracting features, and I really enjoy them. I do not mind having different versions of Flash that we could use in different setups. It just opens us up to having more options in posing and display and figure photography and in customizing. So anyways, guys, that's the newest addition to our DC Multiverse collection. Wally West as Flash. He's pretty awesome. I am going to be happy to add him to the collection, but you guys keep hunting out there, keep collecting, keep customizing, and I will see you on the next one.
They used to call me Crazy Joe, but now they can call me Fat Man.